So the big story coming through within the hour was that the UK economy is not looking good. The economy actually shrunk in the month of August, according to new data coming through this morning. But of course, if you check in also with the Brexit countdown today, the UK Prime Minister and his counterpart, the Irish Prime Minister, will be having some conversations as well, all preparatory to October 31st, and of course the final push to Brussels on what will be a deal or no deal Brexit ahead of October the 31st. So it's a little bit of a lot of issues out there. But let's start with the latest economic data with Juliana Olayinka, my colleague from our London studios. Juliana, coming through here, flesh this story out up for us when it comes to this August economic data just released.
Good morning, Bosun. Well, as we've been discussing every day for the past couple of months, the UK economy is struggling with the uncertainty surrounding Brexit. We've had data this morning released by the Office for National Statistics, their growth report, and that suggests that in August, the UK economy attracted by 0.1%, showing that manufacturing really in particular is struggling. That fell by about 0.7%. But there are some economists this morning that are strangling around the data, trying to pick and pull to see just where we're heading. And some are suggesting that it's not as bad as the headline suggests. In June and July, the economy actually grew by about 0.3 to 0.4%. So it could be assumed that we may not be heading into a technical pre-Brexit or post-Brexit recession, but there's still a long way to go for the UK economy. So it's not great news, but it did actually push the FTSE up just slightly. It's still in the red, but it pushed it up by 5 points once this GDP data was released this morning.
Yes, I'm sure whatever it is, everyone will take these latest numbers and add it to the previous ones, productivity, purchasing managers index and the rest. But again, Brexit discussions is still what's keeping everybody up at night, as it were. I'm sure if there's anything else in the news these days for you folks in the UK, even for those of us who are thousands of kilometers away, we could feel it in the air. So what will be this conversation about between the Irish Prime Minister and number 10 Downing Street Prime Minister Boris Johnson? And how does that push the whole issue forward to Brussels, and what the EU may finally decide to do with the UK on October the 31st, on or before October the 31st?
Well, you know, your sentiment is absolutely spot on, Brexit. Time is really running out. Later today, Boris Johnson, British Prime Minister, he'll be meeting with Leo Varadkar, his Irish counterpart in Cheshire. And of course, they're going to be doing their utmost to resolve the issue, being that border between the north and the south of the island of Ireland. Now, of course, at the moment, there's lots and lots of speculation, so nobody really knows where we are. But we seem to be much better ahead than we were earlier this week after that heated discussion between Angela Merkel and Boris Johnson over the phone. Yesterday, the Brexit negotiator for both the UK and Brussels, Michel Barnier, met. And Michel Barnier did say on camera to the UK press that a deal is still possible. So even though we are running out, there could potentially be a light at the end of the tunnel, believe it or not. We also had Philip Hammond. He was the Chancellor of the Exchequer in Theresa May's government, and he's put out his recommendations for a Brexit renewal deal, which basically says that Northern Ireland must be treated as a special case if we want to push these Brexit negotiations forward. The only thing is, his proposals adopt a similar proposal to what Theresa May failed to get through Parliament 3 times. But you know, the deadline is on, and Boris Johnson wants to leave with a deal. That's what he's saying, and time is ticking.
Yes. On a final note with you, Juliana, I'm not too sure what's going to happen anytime I'm able to make it to London, and perhaps on the London Underground or Overground or on the bus, I'm no longer able to take a sandwich or whatever because there's an obesity tax that the authorities are trying to introduce. How will this work? What is this all about?
Well, a chief medical officer by the name of Dame Sally Davis, the health secretary, commissioned her to write a report because the Conservative government are trying to reduce obesity in children by half by 2030. It's estimated that about 1.2 million children in the UK are overweight, and this leads to other problems like mental health issues, type 2 diabetes, and problems overall with fitness. Now, she has conducted a series of research, and she says that one of the main ways to tackle this problem is to ban eating on public transport. Now, lots of our viewers in the UK will be familiar with a very regular scene across the UK. As soon as a school closes, you usually see lots of young children going around chicken and chip shops, eating smelly chicken and chips on or other fast food on public transport. And she says that should be completely banned and there should be stricter regulations. Now, a lot of people welcome her statements, especially campaigners and health foodists. But there are people that say it's gone too far, that we don't want this to be a nanny state. And that includes Boris Johnson, who has previously said that he doesn't think the government should tell parents what they should and should not be feeding their children. Now, we already have a sugary tax on some fast food and some sugary foods. And she says that this should be extended to include milk, supplements, and some other fatty foods that could reduce obesity in children. So it's really important.
Yeah, very important. Health is wealth. That's what we all know. Thank you. I can have my snacks on the bus anytime. Thank you so much. I'm not on the list of the school children. Thank you. So I'm not you as well. Thank you. Have a great day. And in the afternoon, Juliana is back at 1:30 on Business Incorporated. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.